We have breaking news happening, a police chase going on right now. We understand that this is I-10. I don't know whether or not Andy Bass can hear us. Andy, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm with you guys.
Okay, then help fill us in on what we're looking at and where this is going down.
Okay, right now we're I-10 eastbound. We just passed the belt as far as I can tell as I look out the window. Don't have a lot of information on this guy. We do know he was on a traffic stop just a little bit east of downtown over by the Waco Gregg exit, and we believe he might have jacked a car, this car that you see on your screen. We're not too sure about that information, and now he's on a high-speed chase eastbound I-10 just outside the belt.
Yeah, Andy, this guy is traveling super fast here. I mean, he is passing these cars like they're standing still. Wow, look at this guy. This is again eastbound, coming so close to some of these vehicles there. That is amazing. And no doubt, if he's traveling eastbound, he's headed toward, I guess, the Beaumont area. Is he on the east side then?
Yeah, that is correct. And
okay.
My pilot just told me we're doing 115 miles an hour and barely keeping up with him. So.
Wow.
Yeah, this guy, you wonder if that small car can even handle that, but I guess it is.
We're fortunate that it's outside the loop there and outside the Beltway that this is going on, because it still is a heavy traffic time for many motorists who are still heading home from work right now. It doesn't look as though the traffic is super bad there. There he comes up pretty close to a truck there in that scene, but it certainly would be a lot more congested if he were in the city proper.
Yeah, it's a good thing that he's at least out of the loop. So far on the east side here, headed eastbound on I-10. This vehicle has been running now for how long, Andy, has this chase been going on? Just in the past 10, 15 minutes?
At least 5 to 10 minutes. We picked him up on eastbound I-10 just outside the belt is where we came up with him with 3 other police officers behind him. So it's been going for a little while now.
And Andy, you say you're doing about 115 in that chopper?
According to the pilot, Sky Eye is doing 115 miles an hour right now and having a hard time keeping up with him.
Well, I know we often, in situations like this where there are police pursuits, don't know exactly what prompted the pursuit. You said you had some information regarding what you thought was some kind of traffic stop. If you could, again, Andy, help us understand that a little more clearly.
Well, the information is still coming in. We thought it was a traffic stop, and then he might have carjacked a person on I-10, and we believe this is the car that he did carjack. We're trying to get that information squared away.
Okay, I'm sorry, Andy. We just got some information in our ear that they believe this suspect might be involved in murder, might be a murder suspect, which would certainly prove to give him a very strong incentive for trying to get away from police. And they believe this murder suspect may have carjacked, as you said, a vehicle to try and get away from the scene or from police.
And they're also saying that he is believed to be armed. So we're looking here, this is according to the information we have received, apparently an armed suspect who is possibly involved in some sort of murder, now on the run, and carjacked this vehicle. So in his mind, I guess, he has every reason to run, but police are hot on his tail. But he is cruising at speeds at over 100 miles an hour, at least if you judge it by what our chopper is flying at.
You know, Andy, can you tell us whether or not police have been able to at all get ahead of him? Obviously, he's moving very fast, but they certainly can call into departments that are further down I-10 eastward. Again, for people just tuning into us, this is happening outside of the Beltway on I-10 east, headed toward Baytown. We have not been able to, from our picture that we're looking at there from Sky, see any police vehicles. So we need a sense from you as to whether or not police vehicles are close behind him or whether any are in front of him.
Well, that's the most amazing thing. I pulled out the shot just a little while ago to see if there was anyone behind him, and I can't see anyone behind him. And I just had Matt, the pilot, look above on I-10 eastbound, and he hasn't seen any flashing lights above there as well. So as of right now, no, there is no one trailing him or anyone above us.
Now, we just crossed several freeways there. Was that the Beltway? Was that the East Beltway? Okay.
Yeah, that was the Beltway.
All right, so now we're beyond the East Beltway and continuing to cruise eastbound there on 10. And now he's exiting, it appears. Yeah, he's exited the East Tex Freeway, not the East Tex, the eastbound I-10. And now he's on the frontage road, and wow, what a speed he is carrying on the frontage road.
Is there a police helicopter in the air near you?
They're trying to catch up to us right now, according to the pilot. The HPD helicopter is trying to catch up along with the ground units as well.
So right now we are the best, the one closest on him. If you said no officers are behind him or in front of him.
We are on the front lines of this. He did take off on the feeder road, and I just lost him behind the bridge.
Yeah, there's a stop sign
He might be
there.
taking a U-turn.
We'll wait.
Well, there
he
is.
goes, turned around.
Now he's headed westbound. He's on the feeder at this point, and we'll see if he gets back on the I-10 freeway. But you know, we saw no officers in front there that usually lay the spikes, and when you're heading that speed, and it's always difficult, especially if there's so much traffic. But we'll see if he gets back on the freeway here.
There he goes, almost pushing that pickup truck out of his way as he approaches back onto the freeway again. We believe he's been traveling at very high speeds, and we hear that he is approaching Sheldon right now. I-10
there goes
heading
the on-ramp.
Westbound now, heading toward Beltway 8. Does he look as though he's slowed down a bit from when he was heading eastbound?
Definitely had to slow down to take the U-turn to go back on the westbound side of I-10, but he's going to pick up speeds pretty quick. I just felt the power being kicked in Sky Eye, so he's going to get up there pretty quick. So we're going to try to get it on the side of him.
We have to wonder what he's doing, because it's certainly heavier traffic the more he heads west right now.
He's going to be hitting a lot of traffic once he gets inside the loop, or inside even the Beltway. He'll be hitting a lot of traffic. You know, and you wonder as well why they continue to run, because the helicopter, the police chopper, which could not catch up to him and was using our chopper, now is going to be able to easily spot him. Now, I believe, Andy, he's getting on the
Beltway. Is that the Beltway,
right?
That is, yeah, northbound on the Beltway.
Yeah, he's going to be heading northbound on the Beltway. Okay.
And again, if you're just tuning into us, we believe from initial reports, again, this is a breaking news story, that this is a murder suspect who carjacked someone to get into the vehicle that he or she, I'm saying he, but we haven't confirmed that. It looks, though, from the picture we saw earlier, that it's a male. But this person has carjacked someone and has now been fleeing from police for 10 minutes. And again, we say fleeing from police, but there hadn't heretofore been a police officer in sight. What did you just say? I'm sorry, Brenda, our producer's. Okay, Harris County now joining in on the pursuit of this suspect.
So to get you geographically located here, he is now headed northbound on the Beltway. So northbound on the Beltway, just north of I-10. And police officers, Harris County constables, deputies, in pursuit here, trying to catch up with this guy.
We still don't see any officers on the road.
We haven't seen anyone.
Do you yet?
But Andy, I assume they're behind him somewhere. Have you seen any?
HPD helicopter just showed up on scene. I know that my pilot's trying to drag him into the scene, and I believe they're behind him. It's very hard. I'm on the left side of the aircraft, and unfortunately, the northbound lanes of the east belt are on the southbound side. So
wow,
it's going into feeder road. I mean,
really
to the shoulder of the road, I should say, several times, and it looks bumpy when he does so. You can tell that he's moving awfully fast at a quick clip.
It's so frightening to see this type of speed right there on the freeway, because could you imagine if some vehicle just suddenly turned his direction? I mean, it would be awful. So,
well, if someone doesn't realize he's coming up on them so quickly, and they change lanes without being aware that he's run up on them so fast, since he is traveling so fast. You still think that our helicopter is traveling at about 110 miles per hour to keep up with him?
Let me check with the pilot real quick. 105 miles an hour actually right now.
Wow.
Not sure what kind of car we're dealing with. It just looks like a small, sedan, some sort of Honda or Toyota sedan, running into a little traffic here.
Slow down a little bit
on the Beltway. Or is he exiting the Beltway?
No, it looks like he just changed lanes there. And we do understand that HPD has been relying on us to provide their picture of this murder and carjacking suspect, because they just arrived at the scene a few minutes ago. We've been tracking this for you now on the air about 10 minutes and some time before we took it live for you.
Yeah. You know, he's going to run into some trouble here, because this is still the Beltway, but the Beltway ends right about where it appeared as though he was exiting, because eventually you'll run into some stoplights here on this northbound Beltway as it swings around to the other side.
We're told he's approaching Highway 90. There's some construction going on in this area, so the suspect may have to slow down from the very high speeds that he or she has been traveling at for the past 15 or 20 minutes or so.
90 east now he is headed on, so he was from northbound Beltway, now 90 East, headed back east, and you can see the police chopper above him there. We have not seen any deputies in pursuit, but we can only assume they are there somewhere. But what they do in these circumstances, they immediately call ahead on the road he's at, and then they attempt in some way to try and lay spikes if they have that opportunity. But you really have to have the correct circumstances to be able to just lay those strips.
It's a tough one, in part because when we talk about where he's been so far, he started off I-10 heading eastbound, did a loop around, went I-10 westbound, then got on the Beltway and then onto 90 East. That certainly illustrates why it'd be so difficult to get in front of a vehicle, because you don't know which way the driver may turn, and when he or she, as it appears now, may simply change directions on you or change freeways. And there we go. It's looping back on 90 now. It looks as though he may be going westbound. Is that westbound now on 90 or the frontage road simply?
No, but it is westbound 90. You are correct on that.
Yeah, there he goes, getting back.
All right, so he's trying to draw police into circles here and get them somewhat confused. But you know what? When you're in the air, you just can't confuse the police. They have the bird's eye view of what you're going to be doing, and they know exactly where you're at. So
he may have a false sense of security, for lack of a better word, because there really are not a lot of officers on the ground. We haven't seen that. Oftentimes we see that in a chase, but so far he's been able to at least elude ground pursuit. But like Art just said, it's once the helicopters get over you, they're not going to lose you.
You know, and to remind the viewers as well why police are pursuing this so aggressively as well. This man is considered armed and dangerous, under the words of police, because he is an armed suspect who is accused of...
Now it looks as though he's slowing down.
Well, what's he going to do?
Turning around there.
He's turning around on the old...
Again, this is 90 westbound. He just did
now
this is very
bad.
dangerous.
Yeah, now he's going the opposite direction on the feeder on 90 East.
Now we see an officer at the scene, and I was thinking that the fact that he turned around might suggest that he's feeling like they're closing in on him on the ground.
So he's going to be going...
It looks like he's alone in the car. That's a decent shot. We can tell it's a male by that shot. Right. And it doesn't look as though there's someone else in the vehicle. Again, Andy, help us out now. Exactly what road he's on now?
I'm trying to figure that out for you guys right now.
I understand. It's tough because he's twisting and turning now. He's squirming there on the ground because we certainly can see that he senses it's getting tighter for him. But there's not traffic here, but this, of course, is just a two-lane roadway, so he's not going to be able to go as fast here. But he's also not meeting resistance in terms of finding other
and he must have turned around, and we couldn't actually see it, but there must have been police perhaps who
we
barricaded
saw the one, but I'm betting
the lane there, so that's why he had to immediately turn around, go in the opposite direction. Now he's back on the road and driving on the wrong side of the road still.
Well, and turning around when he did, right in front of an 18-wheeler, took a lot of chutzpah, so he must have needed to do that.
Yeah. So we're not quite sure where he's driving now, but Andy, if you get an idea, just sort of butt in and let us know. And if our
he was on the northbound side of the feeder road of the belt, and I just lost him because he went right underneath us. Hold on, I'll try to get him back.
Help us out. Westbound on 90,
westbound
we're told.
On 90,
but help us out in terms of telling us what you see in terms of police now in pursuit of this vehicle. Because earlier when we talked to you, there weren't vehicles on the ground. We just saw one officer's car. There's one now. Are there a lot of vehicles out there now on the ground?
Yeah, I'm going to pull back just a little bit, and you can see them all starting to come into the screen here. There's at least two, and there was at least three more behind him when I just panned back from there. I believe he's westbound on 090 right now.
Yeah, that's
his current location is westbound Old 90.
Okay, westbound Old 90, headed really back into the city area. By the way, it's coming up on 7 o'clock. We're just minutes away. We're going to go ahead and stick with this high-speed chase until it ends, and then we will take you to regular programming immediately on its conclusion.
Again, this is a murder suspect and carjacking suspect, and they believe this car was taken from somebody at gunpoint for this murder suspect to flee. Officers have been following this vehicle for close to 30 minutes now. High speeds are... Our helicopter pilot has been having to fly at speeds as high as 110 miles an hour to keep up with this vehicle. Police officers, including HPD and Harris County officers, getting now closer to this suspect, closing in on the suspect. But there have been a lot of twists and turns, not a lot of close near misses, as you might expect at this hour, mostly because this suspect has certainly stayed out of the city of Houston itself.
Yeah, he's been now in a predominantly rural area here out there in the northwest side. but still headed westbound here on 90. Whoa, there he is, slamming his brakes and slamming into that red pickup truck.
It looks as though the car's smoking.
Yeah, it's the airbags went off, and there he is, jumping out.
90, jumped out of the car.
On the run now. Here we go. And the police, of course, are going to be chasing him. There he is.
And there goes an officer.
They're the officers. And now he's down on the ground. He's given up at this point because he just laid himself on the ground.
Because he fell. It looks as though he's giving up because he tripped and fell.
Yeah.
And,
okay, the gun to the head. I mean, you know, they're serious about this guy, of course. You can see him.
Well, again, he's believed to be armed and dangerous and a murder suspect and a carjacking suspect.
Right.
So if all of that information that we got earlier proves to be the information the officers have, you certainly understand why they're being very aggressive with this suspect who has been fleeing for about in excess of 30 minutes now at very high speeds on several freeways, Beltway, I-10 East, 90, for the last, as I said, about 30 minutes or so.
Well, a dangerous suspect indeed, in the words of police. And we understand from our producers that just as he jumped or fled the vehicle, we've been told that perhaps he may have thrown something.
I saw something black roll onto the ground. I did see that.
Okay.
I couldn't tell because we were trying to watch him too. It looks like blood there on his T-shirt. But yeah, I couldn't tell exactly what that was. And again, I'd be speculating to say, you know, perhaps it was a weapon of some sort because they believe that he was armed. But it really could have been anything inside that car. It could have been a shoe that fell off.
Yeah, you know, he appears to be fairly dormant at this point. I wonder if perhaps he knocked himself out when he fell on the ground.
We're going to show you again how this
slow-mowing
chase ended as he hits a car right there, pickup truck.
There it is. Now watch when he gets out and see what happens if he has something with him or perhaps throwing something. There it is. Yeah. Something fell. We're not quite sure what that is.
I still can't tell what it is.
He threw something. But
again,
there
he just threw something there. A secondary thing is thrown.
Right.
Yes.
He threw something there. Again, this.
So two black objects.
Armed suspect and dangerous.
And again,
there you have it.
And that was just earlier, and this is how it looks right now. That is a live look there at John Ralston, where this police pursuit has just ended.
All right, that's it for us for now on this breaking news story of this high-speed chase.